Welcome to a football show Thursday edition. Nick Suss of the Tennessee and Pay for Good Journalism. I am Braden Gall, brought to you by Sinkers Beverages and Shotgun Willie's Barbecue. Nick, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Braden?
I'm good. Do you have any new prescription medications you'd like to talk to us about today on the show?
I wanted to use my extreme sketch comedy nerdiness to watch all 32 release videos and have full grades on this, but then instead I watched actual sketch comedies last night and just watched like old Kids in the Hall episodes instead, which watch Kids in the Hall. That's my review of all of these schedule reviews. But yeah, no, prescription medication. Funny bit, good bit.
Fantastic. I'm just glad they didn't go back to the well for a third time on the downtown Broadway lady giving out this, doing interviews with Man on the Street schedule. It was hilarious the first time. Didn't hit the second time. This was great. This was very well done. We'll discuss that because the schedule is out for you Tennessee Titans fans, and that, of course, will be the main focus of the episode. Eddie says, good morning, Braden, and the other co-host who doesn't have 50 qualifying statements to my Cam Ward takes. I believe he's referring to Paul Kaharski. Okay, so lots of stuff to do today. We will get into the bye week. We will get into the primetime conversation, which we have to do. We'll get into the winning percentage from last year. We're going to get into Cam Ward's debut journey through the NFL. And, of course, expectations at the end. We're not going to do the schedule game where we pick wins and losses because I feel like that's sort of dumb. But we can look at the over-under at 5.5 and maybe talk through where they could make some headway this season and maybe beat the over on the 5.5. Lots of stuff to get to. Divisional schedules totally out of whack this season compared to last season. Totally different. I don't know which one's better or worse, but we'll talk about it today. Lots of stuff to do. Sinkers Beverages, of course, Liquor Store of the Year 4 times in a row. Craft Beer Retailer of the Year last year in 2024. Lots of really great stuff going on with the wine and the bourbon and the allocations. The in-crowd, you can sign up there. They've got lots of great, the knowledge is outstanding from these guys, experts in their field. You can get the THC drinks if you want those. Lots of good stuff. So make sure you go check out Sinkers Beverages. 40 years of serving the community, locally owned and operated. And of course, huge fans of all Nashville sports, big supporters of the Titans and the Preds, Nashville SC, etc. So, all right. Tennessee and Pay for Good Journalism, Nick Suss. All right. Schedule Rizzy. Let's start there.
Sure.
Schedule Rizzy. I just, as FWS, right, is football withdrawal syndrome is the cure.
Yeah.
If you do not know about prescription drug advertising, if you are going to tell people the laws, first of all, there's only 2 countries in the world, by the way. This is a total side note.
Keep going. I want to learn this.
There's only 2 countries in the world that allow prescription drug advertising on television. Only 2. It's New Zealand and the United States. So number 1, stupid, that part. But number 2,
New Zealand.
There you go. You're the dickhead, Brit. Number 2, if you are going to tell people what your product does, this is like an advertising 101 class I'm using my degree now, Nick.
Please do.
If you are going to tell people in an advertisement what the product does, you then are required by law to tell them what the side effects are.
Correct.
If you do not tell them what your product does, you can be super vague and nebulous and just put 2 old people in a bathtub and guess that it's a sex drug. You don't have to tell anybody what it's about. Also, if you're going to put 2 people in 2 separate bathtubs, no wonder he's having issues. Anyway, total aside. I thought this was brilliant. I thought it was well done. I thought it was great. I thought it was creative. I thought the side effects were hilarious for each team. Imposter syndrome for the Texans was fantastic. The melancholy around Vrabel and the Patriots was amazing. Jock itch. I don't know why I find that one to be so lovely.
The Cleveland Browns joke was the one that surprised me the most. I did not expect that to see that on Maine. But look, so here's
just one more thing. I just wanted to wrap it up. I think absolutely my favorite part of it, Nick, and I'll let you go on this, is how slow they shot all the footage, or at least slowed it down in production. It is the MO and the chef's kiss on a pharmaceutical ad is slowing it all down and having people do regular mundane things with huge smiles on their faces as slowly as possible. And I thought it was a brilliant job. Round of applause for the Tennessee Titans media production team.
Yeah, so the 2 most important things in sketch comedy, and again, talking from somebody who is truly obsessed with this, you're using your degree, I'm using my street smarts here. 2 most important things are escalation and pace. Sketches are often comprised of one joke repeated 3 times. That is the thing we come to expect from sketch comedy. If the joke does not escalate, if it is the same joke delivered 3 times in 3 different ways, you're going to get bored by the third delivery.
Okay.
2 ways that you get around this are either you don't do 3 jokes or you do 3 escalations.
Okay.
If you look at media team reveals across the league, we're coming in at 4, 5, 6 minutes on these reveals with 1 joke in the reveal. Oh, it's Minecraft for 6 minutes, and you're impressed, but nothing is surprising you. There's no escalation. There's no diversion from the expectation.
The production value on that, by the way, as a father of 2 daughters who's never seen the movie, I don't know anything about it. I mean, I know about it, but I've not seen it. The production value, outstanding, yeah.
Or you look at what the Bengals did with the post-credit scene of it's like 3.5 minutes uninterrupted. There's 1 joke in that, and you're watching 1 joke for 3.5 minutes. It's going to get stale. The Saints one, clever bit because they escalated it. They kept having different questions and different ways for this guy to respond, but it's 1 joke. The Titans one.
What's the analysis of the original schedule release from the Titans 2 years ago on the street? Is that the same joke escalating, or is it just the same joke over and over again but done really well?
It's pacing. So we're talking about escalating. We're talking about pacing. The thing the Titans jokes have always done really well is they are paced quick enough that you don't get bored of the joke. It's either the quick editing from the street reveal where you have 1 second to properly inhale the joke, and then you're on to the next joke so you don't have time to linger, or it's what they did this time. I believe the schedule Rizzy video was like 82 seconds long. Like, we're comparing it against schedule release videos that are 6 minutes long. The Ravens Severance one was like 5.5, 6 minutes long, and it is just lines from Severance. Like, it's not funny. It's just, ha, I remember that. Like,
well, that's how Derrick Henry runs the football. So
sure. But so if we're getting extremely, extremely nerdy, and I know that is not why you guys tune in, is to hear my explanations of sketch comedy logic. But the thing that resonates with these Titans reveals, and I am complimenting whoever is listening, good job on pacing, good job on knowing that if you don't have a second joke, just get the joke and get out. 1 joke is all you need. You don't need 6 minutes worth of 1 joke. The Mr. Show of schedule releases. Yes, Jason. They are going to escalate. They're going to get in. They're going to get out. They know you get the bit. Get in, get out.
Well, and this one was so fast, and there was a build-up to, like, there's a little bit of a build-up to, all right, here's the problem. Okay, a little bit of a build-up to, okay, now I realize what we're doing here. Okay, fine, I get it. Now I know what's happening. This is a pharmaceutical spoof. And then all of a sudden, boom, they hit you with rapid-fire jokes about every team on the schedule. And I will say, that is the it was creative and fun. I thought every one of these was fantastic and was perfectly done for the teams. No notes on slurred speech and nausea and diarrhea and jet lag. Like, no notes. It was great. So
it was a well done series of jokes. If I have one small quibble, don't give away your joke in the title of your video. It is called Schedule Rizzy. People know what the joke is.
I hear what you're saying. Okay.
If the title of your video is a prescription for football season or something like that, if you don't like lead in with the joke is going to hit harder. Okay. But the fact that they go from that reveal immediately into the side effects, that is the escalation. You have 82 seconds, you have 1 escalation, you have 2 jokes, boom.
I thought it was 1 minute and 3, 1 minute and 2 seconds. I thought it was 60.
I had it at 120,
maybe I'm wrong.
121 or something. Let's see.
Either way, it's still much shorter and much tighter.
Yeah, I've got it at 90 seconds on
my bad.
Tweet.
Right.
Yeah.
Get your facts straight, Braden. Okay, let's see here. Ed says, we're going to get through all of this stuff throughout the course of the entire episode, but Ed says, can a late game be counted as a prime time if you're a Titans fan? It might have to be, because there are 0 primetime games this year. I've covered this team since 2016 in some way, shape, or form, and I think we've done this conversation 100 times. And it is not anti-Titans. It is not anti-Brand. It's not anti-Cam Ward. It's not anti-Amy Adams Strunk. It's not anti-Brian Callahan. It wasn't anti-Derrick Henry over the years. It is a business decision to put the biggest brands that are not related to how good the football team is or is not onto a schedule, because it's about TV ratings. And I think everybody gets that. I think everybody knows that now. I think Titans fans are smart enough. Is it a little disappointing, though, that not a single game is scheduled for a primetime slot the entire season. Yeah, it's kind of frustrating. So
it's frustrating, but this is the NFL. We're not talking about the NBA or MLB, where primetime games are the only ones that are nationally televised. Every game's nationally televised. Like, it's the NFL. Every game is on national television.
But watching football at night is more fun.
Oh, I totally disagree. I fundamentally disagree. I want to go to sleep. I want to wind down and watch an old sitcom and go to bed and not have to hear what NBC is yelling at me at 11:30 p.m.
I'm the old person on the pod. You're not the old one. I'm the old one.
It's not about age. It's about exhaustion. I have watched football for 11 hours straight, and then 22 if you count the day before. I don't want to watch one more game. We're good.
Okay, stop. It is more fun to be at a stadium at night than during the day.
Sure.
Especially in the South. No question about that.
Sure. I'll give you that.
It is more fun, in my opinion, to watch a football game. And I'm not trying to rub this in as a Packers fan where almost all of my games are prime time for the last 20 years. But it's just more fun. It's just I enjoy night football better. Now, do I want it every single Sunday night? No, because I like my kids to be able to see the game. And those Monday night games that start at 8 o'clock or whatever are a little too late. Like, we're into the Knicks right now. My daughter's discovered what the Knicks are because for the first time we have a chance to go to the conference semifinals, knock on wood, since 2000, basically. And she's allowed to stay up late and watch the end of the game. So I get all of that. But I still think it's more enjoyable at night in person and on television. That's my personal opinion. Don't knock my journey. Okay.
No. Side note before we get into this, I just need to voice this. How many sports teams in the world would you say can hurt you? Like, being a Knicks fan and like talking about
me?
For you personally.
Well, I'm dead inside. Okay. So none.
Okay.
Zero of them.
I have a strong personal conviction that nobody should ever have more than 3 sports teams that can hurt them. And if you have more than 3, you're just watching sports too much. Like, you should watch, and you can have more than 3 teams you care about, but like not 3 that can hurt you. Okay,
this is a good question. I like this. Because nothing hurts me anymore, but that's the business I've been in. That's a unique situation where you don't get too high. Being in this, the one impact on being a fan when you cover teams is you're never as high as the highs and you're never as low as the lows. So it's a net positive sometimes and a net negative other times. If you're asking me sort of like prior to career, what are the ones that I like? University of Wisconsin would have been there, but because when I moved here in 97 and then Tennessee wins in 98 and everybody loved Tennessee, I kind of started to like not have the same feels. Then I go to Tennessee and then Wisconsin stopped hurting me. And then I immediately went into covering Tennessee in 2005. So I didn't really have like a 15-year of not being around Tennessee football balls. And like, I would say the Mets are number 1.
Okay.
Because they were my first team that I started watching as a kid. That's my first sporting event with Shea Stadium in 1987. The Mets are, and because they are designed out of a laboratory to disappoint and hurt your feelings.
Correct. Absolutely.
That's number 1. The Knicks is like the most devastating moment of my fandom is probably because I went to Game 6 against Houston with my dad when we lived in Austin. We drove over. Patrick Ewing, my favorite player. They're up 3-2. I would have been in attendance for my team winning a championship in Game 6, and I was 12 years old, and I was pretty devastated on the drive home to Austin that night. And then the Packers. So, like, I know those are all 3 pro sports teams.
No, that's totally fair. So
those are probably my 3.
Not to like go into my reading Bill Simmons when I was 9 years old mode, but it's always in the back of my head. I have a lot of friends who have like 9 different teams that in the group chat they're like, "Oh, I can't believe this NASCAR driver lost. I'm devastated." Too much. You can root for as many things as you want. You can root for 9 sporting events, but you can only have 3 that actually have the capacity to disappoint you, actually have the capacity to hurt you. And when I hear people who are rooting for, I got a college football team and a college basketball team and a European soccer team and an American soccer team and NFL and NBA, it's too much. You can't have this many teams that are hurting you. If your daughter wants to let the Knicks hurt her, great.
I don't think she feels. I think she does. She just gets angry because like anybody loses.
Sure, that's fair.
Like she doesn't have enough years to build up the emotional like tie yet. I think the Packers are probably the one that she's watched the most of, and she likes football the most. But you're right, she doesn't get hurt yet. She doesn't have the. She just gets angry like a normal person.
Yeah, I've grown up around a lot of sports hurt. I've grown up around a lot of very passionate sports hurters. It's too much. And I divide college programs. Like, I'm not just saying Georgia. I'm saying like Georgia football, Georgia basketball. Yeah. They're all separate things. Don't get hurt by too much, guys. You're better than this. Just get hurt by things that really matter.
Well, and Tennessee baseball has been so good lately. You know, Tennessee basketball always disappoints in the tournament. Whoever's coaching Tennessee football, I think it's just been such a shit show. Tennessee football the last 20 years. It's like it doesn't even apply anymore. Like I don't feel anything.
Yeah.
But it's. I think it's a good point, and I do think Nashville is baked into this. Like if you're a Vanderbilt fan, a Titans fan, a Predators fan, like that's brutal. That's brutal. And I'm a Preds fan. I mean, I was a season ticket holder for a while. Like I'm a Preds fan. I'm a Nashville SC fan. But again, I don't like lose any. Like they lose in the playoffs. I'm like, okay, that was a great season. Like I don't. I know that I'm the like the exception because of the job. Sure. There's no question about that. The Mets are the one that I've never covered. I've never covered Major League Baseball. I've never. That's the one that probably is still at its like 8-year-old, 10-year-old, 12-year-old purest form for me. So anyway, there's a nice conversation for you guys. Hope you enjoyed that. Sinkers Beverages. If your team makes you drink, Sinkers Beverages, like all New York Mets and Nashville Predators fans. Okay. Let's see here. Coach Wills, let's get some comments in here. Just so we're all on the same page, my take on the schedule today is not a troll. I spent last evening and this morning trying to figure out why not having primetime games matters so much to people. It's about attention and it's about pride. And because the market's small and the fan base is young, and that's it. And this year they happen to be projected to be very bad. So that's sort of where we're at. On that one, let me see here. Eddie says Suss needs to start a YouTube channel and just make comedic breakdowns. Could we do that on 440?
Yeah, we could, but there also is one. I used to do this.
You can promote it.
I haven't made a new video in like 7 years, but if you just find Nick Suss on YouTube, you can find 7
years. Okay.
It's been a while.
A lot of fresh content.
Also the sitcomologist.com. I wrote a blog about this back in the day. I was rereading my theory on Malcolm in the Middle as millennial propaganda the other day. You can go to the sitcomologist.com. I've written it all. But thank you for the support.
Coach Will's back to it. Says, I just know that I can plan what meats. I just want to know what meats I'm smoking with the 4 p.m. kickoffs. There are a lot of 4 p.m. kickoffs, which is all the West Coast travel. So we'll get into those. Okay. We own 4 p.m. Okay. So if Karski, I'm assuming it's anti-bad football. That's the primetime element, I assume, is what Karski's talking about there. Let's see. Will potential to be hurt part of your EPL team's choice, Josh? I will be making an EPL team selection soon, and there'll be a whole series of podcasts about that. So stay tuned for that. Okay.
Very excited.
There we go. Okay. Let's start with another PSA, sort of around the same thing as primetime games, which is the fourth easiest schedule, Nick. Mm-hmm. 450 win percentage, the fourth easiest schedule. And if you've listened to me and this show for more than one season, you will know what I'm about to say, which is that number means absolutely nothing to me. Is it more difficult to play against teams that all won divisions last year? In theory, yes, and I understand that. Is it easier to play against teams that all finished last place in the division? In theory, yes. The NFL is the most transient up and down sport in all of by design. And outside of the teams that are established rock stars like Buffalo, Kansas City, Green Bay with Rodgers, etc. To me, that number means absolutely nothing. Nick, what does it mean to you?
I think it probably means more to me than you, but I don't necessarily know if I use the total wins from last year as the guide point for strength of schedule. Like, I tend to lean more towards, like, not free promotion for other people, but like Mike Clay at ESPN's season projections and algorithm of like, based on projections of how good these teams are going to be, what is your strength of schedule? That one actually has the Titans as the second easiest schedule in the NFL.
Oh, it gets even easier. All right.
It gets even easier.
See?
I tend to view it as, if you are playing a schedule that has a lot of teams on it that are projected to be down, yeah, you should feel good. But it's the NFL, and there's never going to be a spread bigger than 8.5 points or whatever. So it's like we're understanding this is a bounce of a ball game.
Washington went from the second pick in the draft to the 29th pick in the draft.
Yeah,
that's all you need to know.
It turns around, but the fact that happens doesn't invalidate the fact that bad teams are usually bad.
Yes.
The teams we expect to be bad are usually bad. And the fact that there is one team that's going to go worst for first this year, or maybe two teams. Last year, Minnesota was kind of a worst to first situation. The fact that that's going to happen once or twice doesn't invalidate the fact that if the Titans play games against the Browns, the Raiders, the Saints, and the Jags and the Colts, that's 7 games on their schedule this year against teams that no one would be surprised if they are picking in the top 10 next year.
Yep.
That's something you have to acknowledge is important. Like, we can't just say, well, since they have the capacity to be better, it doesn't matter. No, it does matter that they are playing at least 7 teams, and I might be forgetting one, that ostensibly could be tanking. That's important.
So here's my question for you as we get into sort of breaking down the actual schedule. I'm curious. So there's a lot of different ways to look at it. Like, here's the buckets that I've got. We could talk about the bye week. We could talk about the divisional schedule. We can certainly talk about the start of Cam Ward's career in the NFL. We can talk about the defenses that they're going to play. We could talk about difficult stretches, good stretches, home and road splits. We could talk about, I think, pass rushers and pass rushes and front lines that they're going to play. What's the one that stands out the most to you? Because I want to cover all that stuff, but I'm curious which one you think is most important and meaningful relative to projecting what this team could be.
I would be lying if I didn't say it's the first 5-6 games of the season. Like, as much as I want to talk about pass rushers, and I really do, because I think that's a fascinating topic, and we'll get to that.
In week 11.
How this team can inspire people early is going to be the most important thing. Those first 7 games of the season, building up to that Patriots game, is the test to see, are people going to check out this year? If you start 2-5, if you start 1-6 against this tough schedule, all of this optimism, all of this hope of new quarterback, new philosophy, it's all just going to be the Titans are bad. And people remember the early stimuli so much better. I can't remember the name of the psychological concept, but it's the thing Aaron Rodgers used to allude to in Green Bay when they would have the slow starts of, psychologically, people are going to remember the first thing they see much more than the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth thing they see. Yeah. So if they see early a loss to the Broncos and then a loss to the Rams and then a struggle against the Colts or whatever, and you're 0-3, that's what people are going to think this team is. People, I'm not accusing anyone in the audience. I'm just saying the general populace tends to respond to teams are the first thing I saw them as. And so psychologically, for this Titans team to move on, to enter into this new era without losing the casual side of the fan base, without losing the grace they are building this offseason, they're going to need to find a win or two early in the season against some of these teams that look tough to beat. And look, I think they can beat the Texans in Houston. I think they can potentially compete. They did it last year. First team. Like, I think they can go out and beat New England. Like, these aren't
100%.
These aren't impossible games. No, they're just going to need to win some of them.
To riff off your point, because I think you can break it up. I think they get at least one win in their first 3. I would circle Indianapolis probably there. Bad secondary gives Cam Ward a chance maybe to sling it around a little bit. I think Denver on the road, first game for a rookie quarterback, is an atrocious matchup.
Sure.
Absolutely brutal, disgusting, nasty debut for Cam Ward. Expect bad. Okay. Rams is, it's the NFL. Anybody can win that game. I think they win one of those 3. But really what's interesting is I think the first 6 and then the first 8 are how I'm breaking out and breaking up that first part, because so New England's such a huge game for the fans that if they have won, if they're 2-4 going into the New England game and they win it, I think 3-4 with a win over Vrabel, I think keeps the fan base engaged, because then they'll have already matched their win total from last year, and it probably means that Cam Ward's doing some good stuff. Mm-hmm. I think that's important. They at Arizona and at Vegas are winnable games on the road. Mm-hmm. The fact that they're going to have 3 road trips to the West Coast time zone in the first 6 games is interesting. I don't know what it means traveling.
Is Denver Mountain Time?
Denver might be Mountain Time, and Arizona switches back and forth technically. So, but you're right.
Between 1 and 3 trips to the Pacific time zone.
but it's west. They're going west. Their flights, their journeys. It's 3:00 kickoffs. It's just a different type of game than a noon kickoff on the East Coast. I think Houston's pretty motivated to get them at home next year. So but I think they're going to be very motivated for obvious reasons against New England. How much does ownership and Brian Callahan and Brinker and all the guys that sort of have it out for Vrabel in terms of trying to prove themselves over that old coach? I don't know how much that translates to the players, There's a handful of guys that played for Vrabel that might matter. I don't know. I think the organization and the fans, though, are going to be heavily focused on that. And then Indianapolis, what's interesting about Indianapolis is it's the second time Cam Ward will have seen a defense. And so seeing a defense for the second time, you have to think gives him confidence. So it's hard for me to draw a line and say, like, this is the most important chunk of time, in the beginning at least, because I think there's Denver, and then there's like the first 4, which include 2 division games, which is the total opposite of what the schedule was last year, where the division games were so heavily backloaded.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to expect in the beginning. I have them at 2-4 going into New England. That's how I feel if I'm doing the projection thing, and I think they can win against New England. And so, what are they going into the bye week? I don't know. We can get to the bye week also, where it's located and how much value it has, located right in the middle. I think there's probably pretty good value there for Cam Ward to be right in the middle of the bye week.
Yeah, I don't like the predictions post I put out. Feel free to go read it. I don't feel good about it, but I do have them beating New England to move to 4-3 at that point, and then the rest of the season
4-3, okay,
and then the rest of the season being a little bit tough.
Yeah, it's brutal after the bye week for sure.
Yeah, I think that they can beat Seattle late in the year. Maybe you can take 1 or 2 from Jacksonville.
New Orleans is
winnable. Cleveland, it's going to be December in Cleveland. Like,
well.
Is this team going to be built to win December in Cleveland? We'll see. We will see.
It's also very hard with that much diarrhea. Also, it's just very, very hard. So okay, let's get to the bye week then. What are your thoughts on how it's placed and where it's placed? Do you like the fact that Cam Ward's going to be asked to play 9 games right away without a break? Is that good? Bad? Is that okay? Sometimes I've always said this. I don't. My personal take is you can't know how good a bye week is located until your team is hurt. And if you're hurt real early, then an early bye week is good. If your team is hurt late, then the late bye week is good. I think it's all about where your team is healthy and not. And there's no way to know that.
Yeah. My opinion tends to be the only bad bye week is the first bye week, and that's the one the Titans had last year. So, yeah.
Week 4?
Yeah, it was week 4 last year. Week 5 maybe. It was a bad bye week. What is it, week 10 this year?
It's week 10. Yeah.
That's fine. That's a good place to rest. November 12th, take that week off. Go to Fest in Gainesville, if I'm remembering that's that weekend. Good music festival. But yeah, I don't know. It's fine. It's an okay bye week.
What about any thoughts around New England being placed where they are? And I'm glad New England. It would have been a huge game for New England to be here in week 1.
Yeah.
Obviously, that would have been enormous. But I assume I haven't looked at New England's schedule. I don't know when Vrabel makes his home debut. I'm assuming it's pretty early, either for week 1 or 2. But I don't know. What do you any thoughts on where they place the Patriots game, knowing that it means so much to this organization?
I think it's probably the right time of year for that. I was a little surprised that it wasn't on Monday Night Football, if I'm being honest. That just feels like a Monday night game to me. It is an easy narrative for ESPN to sell, even if the teams aren't super compelling. And it's a chance to get Drake May on television, who could be a future star in this league, not even mentioning Cam Ward, who could be a future star in this league. That felt like an ESPN game to me, but what do I know?
Well, and I think you can't do it much later than this, because you don't want 2 bad teams to be sort of like, 2-7, 2-8, or 3-9, or something like that, playing each other, because then all that storyline stuff is not meaningful anymore.
Yeah.
But if you have it fairly early in the season, I think you could argue 2 teams are still in it. You got 2 young, good quarterbacks that people are going to be interested in seeing, hopefully. So a lot of interesting stuff there. Divisional games, where the divisional games are placed is interesting. So last year, if you remember, the last 3 games of the season were all divisional games. And you had, I believe, 5 of the last 7 were divisional games last year. They lost, I think, 4 straight to end the season in the division, but they also lost like all the other games too. This year, you've got 2 in the first 4, you got 3 in the first 8 before the bye week, and then you go week 11 against Houston, week 13 against Jacksonville, both at home. So your road games are early, and then in the last 5 weeks of the season, all you have is a road game against Jacksonville in the season finale. It's not a playoff team, so that's not what we're talking about from an implication standpoint. But what is it? Does it matter to you at all where the division games are placed? So backloaded last year and much more front loaded this year.
I think that there is a part of me that wonders if the Titans will be able to get away with steal an early win or 2 in division just because there's not enough tape on this offense yet. Like, they will be able to theoretically get away with hiding or disguising some things before that Indy game, before that Houston game. The full scope of what they do won't be out yet. Whereas if you're playing all of your division games late in the year, you've showed everything. Like, there is no new wrinkle you can do. So there is a small part of me that thinks it gives them a minor advantage with a new quarterback and ostensibly a new offense. Other than that, yeah, it starts to matter when you're competitive, and maybe the Titans can be competitive, but I don't necessarily expect it. I think this is a team that we'll talk about the over/under 5, 6, 7 wins is where we're looking. So it matters when it matters.
I like having Indianapolis, to your point. No, not a lot of film on the offense, and I think potentially facing the worst secondary and the worst defense in the division at home, I think is the right way to start it. And if you get a win in the division, you bank one of those early. If you get one more and you go 2-4, I think people kind of look at that and go, all right, okay, not terrible. All right, let's get to the actual matchup here. Week number 1 against Denver. Not only are you number 1 in the NFL, just for folks that know, number 1 in the NFL in sacks, number 1 in the NFL in pressure rate and pressure percentage on the road. Altitude sickness is not a good enough phrase for what Cam Ward will be dealing with in his NFL debut. No favors. A road trip to Denver. Absolutely brutal break for the Titans in game number 1 for Cam Ward.
So I've been thinking a lot about a story that I wrote. You guys might have seen this on the website, on Twitter, all that. I talked to the defensive coordinator from Cam Ward's first game in college, Nashville native, Will Thomas. And he told me that within 3 or 4 drives of Cam Ward's first game of college, they, as a defensive coaching staff, realized we can't confuse him. It's his first game. Our entire game plan was, this is a freshman quarterback. He's going to get confused. We'll just throw the kitchen sink at him and it'll ruin him.
This is incarnate word.
This is incarnate word.
Yeah.
And the coaching staff at McNeese pretty much said, we're going to confuse him. And that was the plan. And they tried zone, and they tried man, and they tried blitzing, and they tried drop 8, and they tried everything they could do. Nothing confused him. And I think about that. I'm like, oh, maybe that's Cam Ward. And then I think about, maybe Vance Joseph is just the best defensive coach in the country right now. Like, no disrespect to the coaches at McNeese or any of the places he played in the FCS, and no disrespect to the coaches in the Pac-12, no disrespect to the coaches in the ACC.
Your throat's cleared.
Vance Joseph is a mastermind. Like, he is really good at what he does. And we talk about the pass rush that Denver has. Let's not also discount the secondary they have. Like that, Pat Surtain, depending on how you think about him, the worst you can call him is the 3rd best cornerback in the NFL. He's very, very good. And you have safeties that are talented, and you have a lot of talent flying around that defense. It's going to be a challenge because they're going to be able to disguise what they do, and they're going to be able to say, we don't need to disguise it. We can bully you. You have a new-look offensive line against a great D-line. You have new-look receivers against a great secondary. It's going to be really tough.
And what's interesting is, if you kind of play this out, let's use the first 4 games here. Denver, Rams, Colts, Texans. We know the Texans are going to be real salty at getting to the quarterback. We know that. And just in general, very good. The Colts, if there is a strength of the defense, at least on paper, it looks like it's the front line. The secondary was one of the worst 5 or 6 secondaries in the league last year, so unsure about that. And the Rams is really interesting to me, because they are not – hello, Cat. They are not like, if you look at their numbers from last year, they don't have tremendous pressure rates and sack rates. They're kind of a bottom 3rd team. But I know their talent is better than that. And a couple of those guys were rookies, right? With Fisk and the Verse and the outside. So, like, I expect the Rams to be better. So I don't think the first 2 matchups are all that good for a brand new offensive line that's been reworked in a rookie quarterback. I think that's hard.
Yeah, and we can talk about the Houston game as well. We talk about them getting after the quarterback, but like Denver, they also have an incredible secondary.
Yeah.
Like, Stingley could be the best corner in the NFL also. Like, there are just a lot of really good players on that defense, top to bottom. Denver and Houston are 2 teams that have very much been built defensively to stop the pass, to affect the pass at the front level and the back level.
Yeah.
This is a Titans offense that we kind of expect to want to utilize the pass versus, maybe you can throw it against Indy. I don't know. You're going to have to figure out a way to have a more balanced offense against these defenses which might be disappointing for fans that want to see Cam Ward light it up early. And it's that unfortunate give and take.
Look, I think Caleb Williams is a really good player. I think he's going to have a great NFL career. Agreed. And I don't know how great, but I think he's going to be a good player for a long time. He was the second most sacked quarterback in the history of the NFL as a rookie, behind David Carr from back in the day with the Texans. And, he had moments of brilliance, and he had games where he really, really struggled. I mean, the Titans defense totally confused him in the first game of his career. And the Titans defense would not be considered, I think they were dead last in pressures last year. So, this thing can happen even against bad teams. And honestly, there's not a stretch, because if you look at the last part of the season, weeks 11 through 18, which I think you've already alluded to, in your opinion, is going to be real brutal. Coming out of the bye, of course, they get 3 straight games at home, which is unusual, I thought, and also interesting. Houston, Seattle, and Jacksonville, all games you could, in theory, win if you come out of the bye with a little bit of progress in the first half of the season. But if you look at that, you're going Houston, Seattle, Cleveland, San Francisco, Kansas City. Like, these are pass rushing monsters.
Yeah.
Like these defensive lines, like 5 out of the last 7 games or 6 games are going to be against really, really good defensive lines. And I can't really find a stretch of the schedule other than probably Arizona, Vegas, New England, Indianapolis, those 4 early in the season, where like you're not facing like rock stars on the defensive line. This is a bad. I'm not denying that it might be one of the easiest schedules on the whole.
Yeah. But
for an offensive line that's had issues for years and a rookie quarterback, it's unfortunate that the strength of a lot of this schedule that they're facing is the pass rush, the defensive line, because outside of that 4-game stretch from week 5 to week 8, there's not a break for the offensive line in this schedule at all.
Yeah, and in that 4-game stretch you're alluding to, they still face Max Crosby.
Right. And a Mike Vrabel coach defense and pass rushing guru Harold Landry.
Yeah. I think that one of the things that was a little bit overlooked last season is that they missed almost every elite pass rusher in the NFL last year. It's a weird thing that happened, but when they played the Lions, Aiden Hutchinson didn't play.
Yeah.
They didn't play the Cowboys, so they didn't play Micah Parsons. They didn't play the Browns, so they didn't play Myles Garrett. You can go through it. They played the Texans and they played the Vikings, which were 2 incredible pass rush units, but they didn't play Max Crosby last year. There were a lot of like A1. They didn't play Nick Bosa last year. This year, they're not missing many of these guys. They're playing Nick Bosa. They're playing Max Crosby. They're playing Myles Garrett. They are going to have to contend against these A1 pass rushers. Last year, the offensive line was as bad as it was not facing these teams. So you have a team on the schedule like San Francisco, who truly might have one of the worst defensive rosters in the NFL right now, but they got the pass rusher. So would you rather play the great defense that doesn't have the thing that can expose your weakness, or the okay defense that has the one thing that can expose your weakness? That is a fear. Like, look at Cleveland. Yeah. Is Myles Garrett going to be enough to expose a weakness? He was 2 years ago. Like, dang, he single-handedly won that game. Yep. So I don't know. I'm not trying to be negative here, but it is a different setup.
Nick spreading Christmas cheer, I see early, says Ed. So there you go. All right, so here's the other flip side of this equation, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong on this, but I'm not all that scared by the quarterback play that they're going to face this year. And some of that was already known. We know who the teams were going to be. But I could legitimately write a question mark, and this is not taking injury into account, right? But like 2 games against the Colts, a game against the Browns, and a game against the Saints. No clue who's going to play quarterback, potentially.
Yeah.
In those 4. Then you have Sam Darnold, who I need to see that he can replicate what he did last year.
It's probably good, probably not great.
7 years of NFL or 6 years of NFL football. I can't remember exactly, but 1 good one, 5 bads. Okay. History needs to show us something different. Geno Smith was given up on, essentially. Yes, you got 2 against CJ Stroud. Yes, you have Matt Stafford, but he's real old. Also dangerous offense. Bo Nix is very talented, but again, 2nd year as a starter. I mean, Mahomes is out of there. Purdy had moments where he took major steps back last year, but I think because of the offensive system, like Stafford, great system, probably going to execute pretty well. Trevor Lawrence, no clue late in the year how healthy he is. Justin Herbert's really, really good. And I think the offense is very hard to stop, but he's not trying to sling it all around like he used to. So Drake May, pretty good. Kyler Murray can be good, but sometimes isn't. I don't think it's an overly terrifying quarterback schedule for the Titans at all. It doesn't mean there's not good ones in there, but we knew they weren't going to play Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson, or like we knew some of the names that they weren't going to face. It's not filled with rookies like it was supposed to be last year. But where are you at on the opposing offensive quarterbacks and allowing Denard Wilson to maybe do a little bit more work this year?
An interesting quirk that I can't help but notice, other than Kyler Murray and perhaps Drake May, not a lot of guys who are going to try and beat you with their legs. This is a drop back kind of year
Bo
on
Nix?
the schedule. I guess you can put Bo Nix in that same Drake May camp of can run. Justin Herbert can run.
Trevor Lawrence can run. Yeah.
But like other than Kyler, they're not going to have like a Jaden Daniels kind of game from last year.
Right.
Those are the games they really struggled against last year, were some of these dual threat quarterbacks who could expose them. So I think that if you are facing more Matthew Stafford, Brock Purdy type games, Geno Smith standing in the pocket, Sam Darnold standing in the pocket, it should be a little bit more straightforward quarterback wise. And on top of that, you're not facing Josh Allen this year. Like it is Jaden Daniels, Josh Allen. Did they miss Burrow this year? Yeah, I guess they missed Burrow this year.
They got some luck last year. It was rookies and injuries.
Yeah.
That I suppose helped last year. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. So anything else? Anything else you want to point out on the schedule that I think we've covered quarterbacks, we've covered division, we've covered the bye week, we've covered the trips west. I don't know if that matters. Somebody in the comments said, you having some of these teams come all the way across the country, like Seattle as a noon kickoff is an interesting one to note. The Chargers as a noon kickoff, 2 West Coast teams, body clock time. I don't think that matters as much with professional athletes. I think it does matter in college football. Anything else I'm missing here?
No, I think it's going to be a thing that we see. Like it's going to happen once every 12 years that the Titans are going to play the AFC West and NFC West at the same time. Yeah. It is a very rare feat. I think it matters. It also might not matter. At the end of the day, what's going to matter most is who the best players are. And if the Titans players are better this year than they were last year, who cares what coast they're playing on?
So your theory is they got to get a lot of work done early, it sounds like, because in the back half of the schedule, I think you can circle Seattle at home, Jacksonville at home, New Orleans at home, and then Jacksonville on the road as 4 games that I think you could say those are winnable games. If the team progresses the way it is, if the new free agents and the rookies are playing at a better rate, a better place at that time, those are 3 or 4 that you could get. I think Arizona, Vegas are winnable games. I think New England's a winnable game. Both the Colts games are winnable. It's the NFL. Almost every game is sort of winnable. But it sounds like you're pretty terrified of the second half of the season after the bye week. Where is this team at on the? Are you taking the over on 5.5? Do you think they make progress? Because that's a pretty low number to be the over under total for a team.
I think 6 is the right number right now.
That's what I've got.
And I thought 6 was the right number last year also, which had me taking the under. This year, I think it's the right number, and I'm taking the over. I look at the schedule, and there are too many teams that I feel like didn't get better this offseason that they're playing. I don't think New England got better. I don't think Cleveland got better.
You don't think New England got better?
New Orleans. I don't think New Orleans got better. Sorry. I don't think New Orleans got better. I don't think Cleveland got better. I don't think Las Vegas got better.
Agree. New England definitely better.
I don't think Indianapolis got better. I have no idea if Jacksonville got better, and I don't think Jacksonville knows if Jacksonville got better. There are a lot of teams that I'm not saying the Titans win all of those games, but I am saying that there are enough games on the schedule, plus the fact that maybe you beat Seattle, maybe you take one from Houston, maybe you beat the Chargers. They've played the Chargers close 3 years in a row now, and they've won one of them. So I don't know. You never know with this stuff. So I would say it is more likely to err on the side of they're going to get to 6 or 7, but this team won 3 games last year. Let's not say that doubling the output should be the expectation.
Here's ultimately my initial prediction on the win total. They will hit the over if they beat New England. They will hit the under if they don't. That's where I'm at with this.
Yeah.
So, and I look again, like I say this with every college team and every NFL. NFL is a little bit different because like 8 and 4 in college, the schedules are so different in college football from team to team. In the NFL, I believe every schedule is the same. Like, I just think every schedule is the same. You're playing the top, whatever. I'm trying to do the math, like 53 players times 32 teams. Like these are the top 1,500 NFL football players in the world, Like, the schedules are the same. And in college, it's different. So an 8-4 can look very different than another 8-4, right? An 8-4 when you're playing top 5 teams is very different than if you're 8-4 when you play a bunch of bad teams. And so it's how you get there that matters. And so if they're 6-11 and Cam Ward down the stretch has clearly learned and made progress, and we're going to spend all summer talking about this, it's what does it look like? It's less about the number and more about, are they competitive? Are they in games in the fourth quarter? Is Cam Ward showing progress? Are the other rookies coming along and impacting the game? It's more about all that stuff. Is it clear that Callahan's system is starting to take hold pretty quickly? Like, that's the stuff that matters, not 4 wins versus 7 wins. And I know we all want to win more games, but it's how it looks and how you get there that matters. And you'll probably hear me say that like 56 times between now and the start of the season. So
yeah, I have nothing to add. That is a really, really good way to sum up the schedule situation. We'll see how much they win. They have to improve this offseason. We will see how much they improve this offseason. And when training camp comes around, if this looks like a team that can win more games than we thought, we'll tell you.
Is general malaise like one of the most passive-aggressive insults you could lobby at a football team?
I don't know if that's passive-aggressive.
It feels passive-aggressive compared to imposter syndrome, aggressive. Gridlock is kind of the lamest one, honestly. Hand, foot. So here's the thing. Hand, foot, and mouth disease is one of my favorite things in the video. But as a father of kids who have both had hand, foot, and mouth disease, it's a very normal, like, not that big of a, it's not like I think you hear hand, foot, and mouth disease and you think, oh, that's freaking gross. And if you don't have kids, you don't know that it's just not that big a deal. So, like, it sounds like a really good insult to call your arch rival hand, foot, and mouth disease, which I think is great.
I mean, it would be kind of an insult to call that to an adult. Like,
adults do get it.
I know. But if you're putting your foot in your mouth, that is an insult.
That's not how it works.
I'm not saying that's how it works. I'm saying that's how you read the joke.
Okay, all right. Hand, foot, in mouth?
Yes.
Not hand, foot, and mouth?
Correct.
I gotcha. Jet lag? All right. Slurred speech is great. I just love Jokic. I don't know why I love Jokic so much. I just think that's hilarious. Like, you're just an annoying franchise down in the crotch region of America. Oh, I love that one. Sinkers Beverages, everybody. Shotgun Willie's Barbecue. Open on Wednesday through Sunday, but the barbecue joint is from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Make sure you check them out there. Right there in the heart of Madison, right off Briley Parkway. Fantastic. Say hello to my man, Pitmaster Bill. He's been smoking meats for 30 years. He's from Texas, so he knows how to cook cow. So get you some of that American Black Hawk Farms Wagyu beef brisket. It is the best brisket in the city, and that's just a fact. Like, that's an objective fact. Go check them out. Sinkers Beverages. Sign up for the in-crowd this weekend. If you're drinking, make sure you search Uber Eats for Sinkers Beverages to have that booze delivered directly to your house, to your party, to your get-together. Make sure you're not driving around out there if you've had a few drinks. Everybody knows that, so don't do it. Make sure you pay for good journalism at the Tennessean. All right, last one here.
Yeah.
I am not a diehard Titans fan. As we discussed, I'm emotionless inside and dead inside.
Correct.
I am curious if anybody in the comments would like to chime in when they saw the headline that Derrick Henry has signed the wealthiest NFL contract in the history of running backs over the age of 30, as he signed a 2-year, $30 million extension with the Baltimore Ravens. He's going for $13K, guys. He's going for big numbers. I would love to know how Titans fans reacted to that, because he is a beloved creature. But man, did they give up on him too early?
Are we pausing to let people type?
You give an opinion while they type.
I love the stat that I tell people a lot, that Derrick Henry's last year with the Titans, he was the NFL's second leading rusher among running backs in his 30s. And he only played one game as a 30-year-old. He was 29 for the first 16 games of the year. He was 30 in week 18. He ran for like 140 yards or something. And that was the second most rushing yards of any 30-plus-year-old in the NFL that year. It is not about defying time. It is about being Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is not a successful 30-year-old running back or 32-year-old, however old he is at this point. He is Derrick Henry in the same way that Adrian Peterson was successful after 30 and Frank Gore was successful after 30. It's not, oh my gosh, what were they doing after 30? It's they're doing the same thing they were before 30. They're just better than other people.
Which is what Derrick Henry and Frank Gore and Adrian Peterson have always been.
That's my point. Right. So is it probably irresponsible to give that much money to a running back who's going to be 33 at the end of the contract? Probably.
We were having that conversation when he was 28, though.
That's my point. Are you going to lose money betting against Derrick Henry? Historically, yes. So I see both sides of the argument. Practically, I don't think I would have given that much money to a running back at this point in his career. But dude ran for 1,900 yards last year at 30-31. Yeah. So when are the wheels going to fall off? I don't know. The Ravens, I haven't looked too deep at the contract. I was busy yesterday to see how they can get out of it and what money they can save and this sort of stuff. They can probably get out of it year 2 pretty easily if he falls off this year. But I don't know, man. I don't necessarily feel good about saying, oh, he's hit this age, so he's going to get worse. When historically the best running backs are good longer a lot of the time.
He is a natural evolutionary experiment because the NFL is undefeated against the human body, and Derrick's human body is different than all other human bodies that maybe have ever lived on this earth. And he is challenging the theory of human evolution against NFL defenses. And we'll see what happens, because this is now the area of like, you're beyond the point of normal. Like, it's way beyond the point of normal. So Coach Will says good for him. Forrest says good for him. Josh says good for him. He wasn't changing how this team performed. It only stinks it's the Ravens, certainly. PK, the strongest opinion here. It's gross, says the non-fan. It's gross. I don't know about that. Are you saying it's gross mismanagement, or are you saying it's gross for the Titans fans to see it happening in a Baltimore uniform?
Or are you saying that he made a large gross income increase based off of this salary bump? I don't know.
This is Jordan. Oh, Karen has kids with her new husband. Good for her. I couldn't give her that. Couldn't or didn't want to. Those are two different things.
Yeah, the Titans could have paid Derrick Henry. Right. It is just a matter of, did Derrick Henry want to be paid by the Titans, or did he want to go somewhere else? He wanted to go somewhere else.
Forrest says, I don't say we gave up him too early, because I think he was ready to leave for a better situation. That's certainly a part of this, is that Rand Carthon had talked to Derrick Henry and said, what do you want to do? Which is something we can all consider as well. Ed says, great for Henry, rooting for him to end his career in the top 5 all time. However, they needed to move on and center the offense around the quarterback. They just had the wrong quarterback for all those years the year that they didn't. I hate the Ravens, but Derrick can do no wrong in my eyes, says Coach Wills. Jason says they were losing with Henry on the team then. They'd be losing with Henry on the team now. Yeah, but wouldn't it be more fun to lose with Derrick Henry running for like, I'll take 600 yards off his total, and that's the Ravens effect. And I'll still say he could have gotten 1,200 yards rushing. Like, Tony Pollard had 1,000 yards. You're telling me Derrick Henry couldn't have had 1,000 yards on this team last year? I think he could have.
Probably could have. I don't know. Not to talk about him being super different again, but I've been thinking about, there was I was reading about it or watching some random internet video about it. You ever heard of the January-September effect?
Go ahead.
It is this psychological or sociological phenomenon where kids who are born in January and in September tend to have higher test scores and higher athletic achievement at younger ages than other kids, because kids in September tend to be the earliest cutoff date at a school year, so they are a little bit more advanced.
They're older.
And kids born in January are cutoff dates for athletics generally, so they are older than their peers. And so people born in January and September have more confidence at a younger age, and therefore can carry that confidence into older ages. And studies will show, academically and athletically, those successes do carry over into adulthood, even when ages and growth level out.
Yeah. My oldest is born early in October, and she's one of the oldest kids in her class, for sure.
And so that phenomenon continues. If you are always the oldest as a kid, you're bigger, you're stronger, you're smarter, you have more confidence, you're more developed. That confidence carries over into adulthood, even when development has leveled out. Derrick Henry, early January birthday. I don't know if being an early January birthday means that's why he's 6'3" and 240 pounds and has all this drive. And that, like, genetically, it doesn't make sense. but like confidence-wise, physically, he was always bigger, always stronger, always superior. I wonder how much this matters. Well, just a weird thing I learned about that made me think about Derrick Henry.
Well, it's interesting because one of the things that my wife and I have to deal with around sports with our daughters is they're 1 grade apart, but they're 18 months apart. So my oldest daughter is born early in the school year, which makes her one of the oldest. She also is like 87th percentile in like height and weight. So she's not only the oldest kid in her grade, one of the older kids in her grade, but she's also large for her age as it stands. She's always been pretty good at sports, and she's super smart and wants to be like a teenager every day of her life. The other one is born in April, late, like one of the youngest kids in her grade, and she's like in the 12th percentile of height and weight. So I have like extra. Not only are their birthdays like that, but their body types are also genetically, they're just different. And my youngest is pretty good at soccer, and she's played like 5 years of soccer already, or 4 years of soccer. She's only 7. She's played a ton of soccer, and she's played on a 9U team as a 6-year-old. So not only is she small and young for her grade, but she's good enough to play up, and therefore is playing against girls that are like 1.5 feet taller than her at all times.
Yeah.
And so far, it hasn't messed with her confidence because she loves the game. But it's something we worry about, honestly. Like, I know this is an aside that people don't care about.
I think there's a lot of comments. People seem to be fascinated by this weird theory. No, I think that it's also interesting that September is lumped in as this because September is also the most common birth month, and you can do the math on why. So there's just a lot of high-achieving people in this country. Good for September.
Jordan says, honey, we just missed the conception window for a January birthday, according to Suss. We can try again in December.
Is that 2 having kids jokes from Jordan? Good job.
I think it was. Yeah, well done, Jordan.
Good job, buddy.
Josh says definitely looks like a January baby in a high school highlight video. That's true. That's true. Let's see here. Jason says if he stays healthy, he could be a top 5 rushing leader after the next 2 years. Yeah, I don't think he's not going to do 1,900, although to your point, don't bet against him. But if he does the old man running back thing, where he has like 980 yards in back-to-back seasons, right? Almost 1,000 yards in back-to-back seasons. I don't know where that puts him in the all-time rushing list, but I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't have, 65 yards a game or 70 yards a game for the next 2 seasons. And it does feel like it's like 1-2 over his quote-unquote worst seasons, but that could put him absolutely he's already, in my opinion, he's already a Hall of Famer. I think PK has said as a voter that he's probably a Hall of Famer. But I think that there's another tier he could get to with this contract. And I think Titans, I think most of you have done this, I think, the right way, which is celebrate the guy. I know it sucks watching him in purple and black, but like the guy is an extraordinary player, and he's a Tennessee Titan for life. So,
and probably the best one ever. Like if we're just saying Tennessee Titans era, not counting Oilers era.
Oh, okay. He's better than Eddie George. He's better.
We're just saying like any player, any position, full-time Tennessee Titan. It's probably him. You want to celebrate the guy who was the face of the franchise and defined the franchise really for one of the most successful eras the team has ever been through.
He's better than Chris Johnson. He's better than Eddie George. I don't know if he's better than Earl Campbell. That would be my hot running back franchise takes.
I am not old enough to know him from more than highlights. So I've watched the highlights. I've watched the documentaries. I know how good Earl Campbell looked when I'm watching the things when he was doing his best.
When you play football in middle school in Austin, Texas, you know about Earl Campbell.
Yeah.
Like I did.
But that's the fun thing is like, I've probably said this on the show before. I can't wait until I am old enough to do what my dad did to me growing up of just like, well, you didn't watch Prime Elway, so I win the argument. He was better because you didn't see it and I did. And I'm telling you, he was better. Like, I just can't wait to do that with like Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. It's like, you didn't see him. I'm right. I know what I'm talking about because I saw it.
It's kind of the opposite for me because it's like Favre would have been that guy for me in my childhood. Like Favre would, if you told me the Green Bay Packers were going to have a better quarterback than Brett Favre, and you told 15-year-old me who's living in Texas watching the Packers win a Super Bowl for the first time in my lifetime against the Cowboys, who they lost to, and all my best friends were Cowboys fans every single year in the playoffs. If you'd have told me the Packers were going to have a better quarterback than Brett Favre, I would have laughed you out of every conversation that I've ever had about football. And they went and did. So it's almost the opposite for me. It's like, no, Aaron Rodgers is clearly better than Brett Favre. It's not even close. You didn't watch Brett Favre? You don't have to. Aaron Rodgers was better. And for as weird and awful as Aaron Rodgers can be off the field, still better guy than Brett Favre.
I just love the idea of getting to play the "you're ignorant, so I win" game.
Yeah,
Like, oh, you didn't watch Pedro Martinez pitch in 1999? I win. I
so,
saw it, so I win. I
my,
have the experience.
My girls are obsessed with Jalen Brunson because we're watching the Knicks, right? They watch all the Pistons series, great series. We're watching all this series. And I just got to be like, y'all don't know who Patrick Ewing is, dude. Like, Patrick Ewing is my guy. That's my favorite basketball player of all time. He's better than anything they got here.
Just looking at a elementary school kid and saying, y'all don't know Patrick Ewing. Y'all don't even. That's just a great power move. Yeah. I love that. That's incredible.
Patrick Ewing. Eddie says, how do you feel about Aaron Jones in purple? Like, look, because Josh Jacobs was so good so fast, it didn't bother me at all last year. I think Aaron Jones is a really good dude to root. Like, he's a really easy guy to root for, really high quality individual. So, seeing him play on a winning team and go to the playoffs, like, that's fine with me. That kind of stuff. I don't know about you growing up, but like, outside of like maybe like a homegrown baseball player who's like a prospect that you draft and develop and becomes a star, like the way the Mets pitching staff was when they had DeGrom and Syndergaard and Harvey, and then watching them all kind of like, and Zach Wheeler technically, and now they all go off to other places and do well. I just don't, I'm loyal to the team. Like, I don't have one feeling or another. Like, I hate Chase Utley because I think he's an asshole because he played for the Phillies and beat us in the playoffs all the time. I don't have my players leaving it doesn't really bother me that much. Like, I've seen Favre and Rodgers both do it, like it doesn't, I don't know. It's not that big a deal.
I have a hard time answering this because I grew up watching the New York Yankees and I have always experienced the inverse, not the premise.
You just steal everybody else's players.
How did it feel when you took Randy Johnson? Good. It was good. That was cool.
How did it feel when you stole Johnny Damon?
That was fun. That was awesome. Made him shave.
Made him shave.
All right, Jordan got off one great joke before we lined off. This is 3 good jokes in the show. So
3 good jokes? Are they escalating though?
They are escalating. This is an escalation.
Jordan says you weren't even born when Favre frauded Mississippians on welfare. Pappy Braden in 2063. Hey, look, it is 2025. If I make it to 2063, I'm good.
Can't tell if that's an optimistic or a morbid way to end it, but
no. The male life expectancy in America is like 71.9 years. Last I checked, like 85 is above is the over.
Yeah, no, it reminds me of
over.
This is morbid, but I remember when I turned 26, I texted a friend who's the same age as me, and I'm like, it's weird finally being an age where you can't ostensibly think I'm going to live 4 times as long as this. And my friend responded, brother, if we live 3 times as long as this, that's too long. I'm like, no, don't talk that way. Don't talk that way.
AI is going to push us all over 100 real soon. I'm convinced of it. And hopefully it happens quickly.
Go find Ricky Bobby talking about this. It's the advancements in modern technology.
With my high-level DNA and the modern advancement technology, I might live 300 years old.
Braden taking the over on death, says Coach Wills. Yeah, that's our new gambling show, over under life expectancy.
I'm not predicting it. I'm saying I would take it. I would take 80 right now. I would take it. 38 more years, I would take it. Absolutely, I would take it. You guaranteed me 38. I'm done at 80. I'm good. I'm good there. And again, morbid, fine. It's my life. Don't mess with my journey.
And tune in next week on Death Talk.
Thank you guys for hanging out, man. Braden likes sinkers too much for that. Look, I'm going to the THC section now for that exact reason. Okay. I keep my bourbon in the shelf. I take little sips of it and I'm doing the THC stuff. Okay. It's healthier. I sleep better. I'm working out. I'm working on it, Forrest. I'm working on it. That's why I can only go to Shotgun Willie's like once every month. But it's a great barbecue and it's the best you'll ever have, but it's a great cheap place. That's for sure. Sinkers Beverages as well. Make sure you check out Tennessean.com for all the good journalism that Nick's doing over there. We do appreciate him. And I know you may not be sticking all the way to the end here, but there are a lot of you that are new to the show. And we absolutely appreciate all of you sharing the product and coming to the show and supporting the show, being in the comments, listening on the podcast app, checking us out on YouTube, wherever it is you find us. A huge thank you to all of you who are sharing the show and telling your friends about this product. I think Nick and PK are fantastic. I think the show, sorry, Zach, has never been better. But I know there's a lot of you guys that are new to the product. So thank you for listening and checking us out. Please share the show. Notifications turned on the YouTube page. Thumbs up, 5-star reviews only, because if you do not give us a 5-star review, you are a
loser.
Hater. Hater's the word. Come on, Nick. Execute. All right. Thanks for listening. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.